Jenny Lynn, a member of our community, has moved 3 times, and she's now on her 4th move because every house she's in has had noises. And these noises have kept her in a restless and awake state at night. And she's wondering what to do when insomnia is caused by external noises. In this episode, we're going to see that it's not the noise itself, but our fear of what the noise will bring that actually keeps us awake. And when we see this, we arrive at a place where we can sleep through sounds that previously kept us awake. And this will help Jenny and hopefully you as well. Let's take a look. Hi there, and welcome to this episode of Mining the Comments. I'm Coach Daniel, a sleep physician turned sleep coach and online educator, as well as the founder of the Sleep Coach School, where we help high-achieving, health-conscious individuals like yourselves arrive at a place of peaceful sleep. And we do that through education. And one way we educate ourselves is to look at specific situations that our community members find themselves in and learn from them. And this episode is part of a series called Mining the Comments, where we do just that. We look at comments and learn from them. So without further ado, let's look at this comment from Jenny that we can learn a lot from, and hopefully this will help Jenny much as well. So yeah, this came in very recently, just 33 minutes ago, actually. And it's a comment on the video that it has the thumbnail, the doubt versus sleep confidence roller coaster. And Jenny says the following: I wonder how you might deal with insomnia from external noises. It started when I worked and lived as a medic on an industrial site. There was noise, bright lights. I guess it was noisy, bright, and high responsibility 24/7. I quit due to burnout, and the insomnia continued because my physiology was stuck in fight or flight. It took me 4 months to calm my nervous system down, and I used your app. That's bedtime, BEDTYME. I was sleeping well by then. I recently moved, however. I'm having continuous housing issues where I rent a basement suite in an old wooden house, and sound travels. Currently, my landlords go to bed at 1:30 a.m. and wake up at 6:30 a.m. and they're right above my head. I feel like I'm in a nightmare. I've moved 3 times already, and I'm moving again at the end of the month. I have the fear that someone will wake me up once I'm asleep, and so I just stay awake. Last night, their cats ran into the room above my head at midnight. Thank you so much for this channel. Thank you, Jenny. Thanks for the support and for sharing. And I'm so sorry, of course, that this has been happening, but I'm glad you share this so we can all learn together. And I thought we actually might start with kind of the fundamentals here and learn how insomnia happens. And Jenny, what you shared here is one of many, many examples of how insomnia starts. And it's always really in the same type of way. So you find yourself working as a medic on an industrial site. It's noisy, bright, and high responsibility 24/7. And we can see that this is like a stressful time. And during times of stress, we tend to sleep less, all of us. It's just kind of a safety mechanism our brain has when it thinks like there's something important happening, something that you should be aware of, something you might have to plan for, protect yourself from. It keeps us awake. It keeps us more vigilant, on higher alert. So it's perfectly normal that we sleep less when there is some stress. However, that's not what causes insomnia. Insomnia happens when we are in this high stress environment. We're stressed, we sleep less, and our brain goes, wait a minute, I'm not sleeping enough. This is a problem. It goes from thinking of like the stressful situation as like the problem to the fact that we're sleeping little as a problem. And now we have what causes insomnia. We have started to think of not sleeping as a threat or a danger. And that now becomes a loop, because thinking of not sleeping as a threat makes us fearful of being awake. And when we're fearful, we stay awake. And then if we think that wakefulness is a threat, then the fact that we're awake makes us fearful, and the fear keeps us awake. And the fact that we're awake keeps us fearful. And this is the loop that we call insomnia. And then very often happens, or almost always happens, from circumstances just as the ones that you described, Lynn. And I'm very glad that you found our little ecosystem here, that you found our app bedtime, and that it was helpful. And why was it helpful? Well, it was because in some shape or form, your brain understood that being awake actually was not a threat. There was actually no danger. There was nothing about being awake that required us to be in a high alert state of mind and be awake to kind of monitor our wakefulness, right? So and that led to the insomnia resolving, and that is a wonderful, wonderful thing. However, there are clearly memories of this difficult time with sleep there, and there's still, maybe to some degree, like in the back of the mind, the idea that, or I should put it this way, like the idea that not sleeping is a threat has come up one time, and it sometimes can come up another time because, we've had that struggle before, right? So that's kind of like the backdrop, if you will. Then you find yourself in a place where there's noise, and now this noise is leading to a lot of struggle. And this is kind of like this is the big picture. And with that in mind, with your story in mind, Jenny, or, for the rest of the people listening here, with Jenny's story in mind, let's learn together. So firstly, we looked at what causes insomnia, and that's really helpful. And secondly, I didn't want to forget this, for anyone who struggled with noise, sound, then please listen to Talking Insomnia number 37, where Joe is the guest. Joe's story, very briefly, is that a nearby mosque installed this new speaker system, and when the calls for prayer went out, that started really disturbing him. And he also had neighbors that were very noisy, but he actually arrived at a place where, I don't know how I think he insulated his house very well, and the neighbors, were very helpful. They didn't make any noise. And guess what? He still couldn't sleep, because what kept him awake was like, well, what if the neighbors start making noise again? Or what if like something else happens? And this will echo through this episode, and we'll see what truly makes us sleep through sounds. So firstly, here, or I also said that before, firstly, the second. So I think thirdly, I should say, we want to learn this, that noise can disrupt our sleep for anyone, like any person. And there's some loud like banging or sound, or like a car alarm going off. It's likely to wake us up. It's likely to disrupt our sleep, but that's not insomnia. Insomnia is this ongoing self-perpetuating struggle that we have, and that's not caused by noise. That's caused by the brain thinking of not sleeping as a threat, right? So this is really helpful to see that noise can disrupt our sleep, but it's only that mislabeling of wakefulness as a threat that's what causes insomnia. That's super helpful to see. And from that, we can see that what actually keeps us awake when there's some noise in our external environment isn't the noise itself, but it's what we think about where the noise will bring, or what it will bring. If we think that, oh no, if it is noisy, I'm not going to sleep at all. And particularly if we had this experience in the past with insomnia, if we think, oh no, if it's noisy, it will bring back this insomnia that I had before. It's almost like a PTSD thing, where we think that the noise will bring back what we had before. The noise will create all this wakefulness, this fear, this struggle. That's what keeps us awake. It's not the noise itself, but it's us thinking that the noise will lead to all that struggle. That's actually what keeps us awake. So what keeps us awake isn't the noise, but the fear that the noise will wake us up and create all this struggle, right? And that also leads us to see why, Jenny has moved several times. It seems so obvious that it's just like, okay, Jenny has just moved multiple times to get to a place where it's like silent, and she doesn't want to have noise. But it's not really the noise that we're trying to escape in this situation. What we're trying to escape is actually the fear of what the noise will bring. What we're trying to escape is, the emotions that come with the noise, the worry, the concern, the palpitations, like that, all that, like the fear-related experiences. That's really what propels us further. If we just had noise and it didn't bother us so much, we wouldn't try to escape it. We wouldn't move 3 times. What someone in Jenny's situation is truly trying to escape is kind of like the emotions that come from the noise and the experiences that come from how we think about the noise and what the noise will do. And the thing is, we can, of course, we could be in a house or a housing situation where there's some disruption from noise, and we move, and there's less disruption from noise, of course. But we wouldn't really, like, if there was just some noise that like bothered us a little bit, but not that much, we wouldn't move, right? What we're truly trying to escape is the emotions. And here's the thing: the more we try to escape fear, the stronger fear becomes. The same thing with wakefulness. Like, the more we try to escape wakefulness, the more wakefulness we'll have. Because again, if we live in one place and then we're like, oh no, this can't happen, I can't be awake this much, and we move to another place, then what we're doing here is we're signaling to our brain that being awake is not just something that's maybe like annoying us a little bit, but being awake is like a real threat, a real danger. Similarly, we're actually teaching our brain that noise is a real threat and a real danger, right? And if we're moving because of the fear, then we're signaling that fear is a real threat and a real danger, which makes us more, concerned about noise, about wakefulness and fear. And what then happens is that when we are in the state of like, we're fearful around noise, we're fearful around being awake, and fearful about fear itself, we will always find it, right? And we will, if we're like really hyper vigilant about noise, then even the slightest thing we will identify like, oh, this is a problem. It's here. The noise is here. And this explains why Jenny has moved so many times. You could see it as like, oh my gosh, Jenny has been so unlucky. Every place she's moved to has been noisy. And of course, I don't know anything about the circumstances of Jenny. Maybe it truly has been, more noisy than typical wherever you have moved. But I think it's also highly likely that it's more this fear around the noise that it makes us find noise wherever we move, right? So we like, it's a cat, or it's like music, or something else. It's not that actually it's that unusually loud. It's that we're any noise, becomes really alarming to us because of how we think about it again. So when we're fearful noise, we'll always identify it because we're looking for it. And what then happens is that even if we find a place that is actually silent, like Joe did, we have tried to escape fear, and we've tried to escape wakefulness, and that just like amplifies them. So we will have this situation where we're like still not sleeping well because we're like, but what if the noise comes back, and so that's quite tricky. So the answer here is not to actually achieve silence. It's not about like achieving no noise or no sound with earplugs or by moving or something like that. The answer is to befriend wakefulness and befriend the noise. And what I mean by that is not like enjoy the fact that we're not sleeping. That's not humans. We all want to sleep well at night. But when we teach ourselves or teach our brain that being awake is something we don't prefer, but it's not a danger, it's not a threat, it's not something that will harm us, then that's super helpful, because then even if there's noise and we find ourselves awake, then it again doesn't alarm us, and we'll soon go back to sleep again. In fact, for most of us, there's likely often some noise that wakes us up, but we don't even remember. It's just like, okay, there was some house sound, woke us up. We're like, oh, that was just a house sound. We don't think much of it, and we fall back asleep, right? Which is very different from a situation where we are tokenizing the noise, and we think of it as a threat, and we like waking up and it's like, oh, that was a house sound. Oh no, I'm not going to sleep again. This is not good. Then we're going to be awake for a long time, right? So we want to befriend wakefulness and also befriend the noise. It's the same thing. We want to see that noise is something we don't prefer, but it has no meaning. There's no storyline. It doesn't predict anything. It's just some noise, And when we befriend the noise, befriend wakefulness, and even befriend the fear in the same way, then we arrive where we want to be. When we no longer think of noise or being awake as a threat, we will experience sleeping through that sound that previously alarmed us. And when I say experience sleeping through it, my point there is that, again, none of us actually have like sleep as a 7-hour time period of like solid sleep. No, we all wake up many times. Sometimes it's spontaneous, sometimes it's because of noise. But again, when we don't think of that as, we don't think of the noise as a threat, we don't think of the fact that we're awake as a threat, we won't even remember it. We will sleep, or we won't actually sleep through the sound necessarily. We will experience that. We won't even remember it. So we will experience sleeping through the sound, sleeping through the noise. And those are the key things that I really want to communicate to you, Jenny, and anyone else in the community who's had this type of struggle. And I hope that will lead you to where we all want to be, which is a place of peaceful sleep and peace of mind. Let's conclude here. Let me know in the comment section how this sounded, and we'll go from there. See you in the next one. Hi, it's me, Daniel, and I hope you really found a lot of value in the video you just saw. Now I have a question for you. Did you hit the like button? Did you leave a comment? If not, then please consider that, because that is what leads to people finding us, finding peaceful sleep and peace of mind and feeling like themselves again, and all the other wonderful things that come from understanding what insomnia is really all about. So yes, just hit that like button, leave a comment, and that will help so much. Thank you.